Hi my loves, welcome back to Wear Test Wednesday. I'm going to be doing something slightly different in this video. I actually, instead of doing a wear test on a specific product like a foundation, I'm going to be showing you guys how I get a long wearing foundation application. And this is something that I know works. I've tried this out. I've used products and found products that work for me, and I want to show you guys how to do that because I have super dry skin, and typically people find that foundations and face products don't last as well on oily skin, which is true. I feel like oily skin can break down makeup a lot faster, but for dry skin, I think you get a lot of that like cracking and separation where your skin gets super dry and the makeup just sucks out all the moisture. So if you wanted to get a very matte finish to keep it long wearing, it's gonna be a lot harder, I think, on dry skin to do that. So I'm showing you guys today what I've found works for me, and hopefully you guys can learn a couple tips and tricks in this video as well. Before I get on into it, don't forget, if you have not already, please hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I'm hoping to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Also hit that bell. I'm not really up to YouTube like algorithms and things, but from my understanding is if you don't do that, it is really shoddy whether or not you guys are gonna get to see my videos or not. So definitely hit both of those. Thumbs up this video if you like it and would like to see more Wear Test Wednesdays from me. I am going to create a playlist for this series, I guess you could call it, and that way you guys can come back and check videos like as I keep going with it. So I'm gonna stop rambling. If you want to see how I get a long wearing foundation application on dry skin, just keep on watching. The first step of any long wearing makeup routine is to prime, and for me I find that because I have dry skin, I typically use a lot of hydrating primers and hydrating products to really get my skin to have this nice like slip to it, so that when I go in with foundation and concealers and powders, it just glides over rather than clinging to my dry patches. Now I've already prepped my skin with my Curel body moisturizer. I use this on my face. I've mentioned that in a couple different videos, but I do want to go ahead and add a long wearing aspect to my skin as well. So what I'm going to be using today is the Urban Decay Chill Makeup Setting Spray. I am not a huge fan of setting sprays after my foundation and powder goes on, but I do like how they prep the skin before foundation. So I'm going to shake this up because it recommends that you shake it up to get all the ingredients mixed, and then I'm going to spray this all over my face. And I do a decent amount of this product. I don't do a very light spray, which you would do if you've already had makeup on, so as not to disrupt it. Because it's just my skin, I'm going to do a pretty thick layer of this product. And then once you have that, just kind of fan it down so that it sets into the skin. This next step is where most people would go in with a very mattifying foundation. This is the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous, and for me it dries down to a very matte powdery finish. Now I personally don't really like to use a super matte foundation and a super matte concealer and a super matte powder all on top of each other if I want my foundation to last. And although that seems counterproductive, for me I find that on dry skin, and especially on my skin, I get a lot of like creasing and breakup. Now it's not an oil breakup that you would get if you have super oily skin. It's almost as if the foundation dries so much that it cracks, and you'll see those cracks throughout your skin. So for me, if I want my foundation to last really, really well, I don't use a mattifying foundation. What I actually do is I use one that has more of a, I would say, natural finish, not super dewy either because you don't want it to be oily, but I'm gonna go ahead and try out the Flawless Finish foundation by e.l.f. I did try this before in another color and it was super dark on me, so I'm hoping that this one will match me a lot better. I have the shade Nude, and this one, from my recollection I guess, is not necessarily a super matte foundation. It has a little bit of a natural finish. So I'm gonna go ahead in with this. I'm just gonna shake it up a bit. Again, you don't want anything to be separated when you apply it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'll do 2 pumps onto the back of my hand because I don't remember how much coverage this one has. So this is what it looks like on the back of your hand. I'm gonna go in and take a flat foundation brush. This is a very cheap one, but you can use anything you want. And I'm just gonna go in and apply this mostly to the center of my face and then kind of pull it out. That way you don't get the foundation line around your face. I know I look crazy right now, but my biggest tip to get foundation to look the most natural and to settle into the skin very nice so that it will last throughout the day is to use a sponge applicator to apply your foundation. What this does, and this one is the Real Techniques one, it will push the foundation into the skin and it will almost sheer it out. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to sheer out the coverage. What I mean by that is that when you apply a foundation with a brush, a lot of the times what I've noticed is that it keeps a layer on top of the skin rather than pushing it into the skin and making it seem very natural looking, but also thinning it out enough so that it's not going to slip and move throughout the day. So this is my preferred method. If you don't like this, you don't have to do it with this, but I do think that using a sponge really does help, in my opinion, with the longevity and wear of my makeup. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this all over and I'll be right back. The next step obviously is that you want to conceal. So what I'm going to be using today is the Kat Von D Lock It Tattoo Foundation. I have a little sample because I'm actually trying this out for concealer. I'm not positive on the shade. I do believe it's 43, but I'm going to apply this like I would typically apply concealer to add some brightness and highlighting back to my face. So I'm taking a bit of this and I'm just going to apply this underneath my eyes and down the center of my face throughout my T-zone. Now this is more of a mattifying foundation and that is fine. I find if I use a matte concealer, as long as I have that hydrating base underneath it, it doesn't necessarily break up throughout the day. And I do think if I have or if you have more creases under your eyes like I do, you will find that a more matte concealer will sit on them very, very well versus a very radiant concealer, which can tend to settle into those fine lines. And like earlier, I am going to blend out my concealer with a sponge. Again, it just presses the product into the skin a lot nicer in my opinion than a brush. Now to set the skin, I'm going to be taking my loose powder. This is Coty Airspun mixed with a Maybelline powder and my Ulta powder foundation. I take a bit of that powder and I just start pressing this in underneath my eyes to set my concealer. Now, I want to stress that if you are a drier skin type, pressing powder into your under eyes, into your foundation on your face is really going to help prevent getting any type of dry, patchy skin from showing up. Now, the reason for that is because when you start swirling or stippling or whatever your brush onto your face, you're gonna find that it's lifting up any dry patches on your skin. So what you want to do is just lightly pat and press, and if you have a brush like this, you can also roll it into the skin. You can even use a damp sponge. I prefer not to use this because I found that it applies the powder too heavy on my skin, but you can use that if you prefer to get a thicker amount of powder. Now also, the people who are watching this that have a drier skin type like me and are afraid to use powder to set their skin. If you see my skin right now, I have a very nice, natural, healthy sheen. But throughout the day, as it gets warmer, my foundation is gonna melt. Even though you don't get oily, you're gonna sweat, your foundation is gonna get warm, and it's gonna start to slip. So what you wanna do is set it in place, and you wanna make sure you're doing it in such a way that it locks your foundation down, but it doesn't accentuate your dry patches. And this is the method that I found works the best for me. So I am going to apply this underneath my eyes with this brush, and then I'm going to be taking a larger brush to just do the same method but all over my cheeks. So I'm using the same powder all over. And loose powders, in my opinion, are thinner so that they don't accentuate any dryness. Powder foundations and powder products that have coverage can tend to sit on the skin very thick, and that will make your skin look a lot more dry. Now that all of your base makeup is applied, before I go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup, I want to go ahead and take down any super powdery look on my skin. Now that we've powdered and set it in place, it's going to lock the foundation in, but you want to take away any excess powder because that can make your skin look super dry throughout the day. And again, that could promote that cracking and that creasing in your foundation. So you want to set it, but not so much so that you dry out your skin. What I actually do is I take a spray bottle of water. I don't like using setting sprays on top of powdered foundation, because for me, that for some reason, I don't know if it has like moisturizing properties that do this or that it dries out my skin, I'm not sure, but for some reason it really just makes my foundation and my powder kind of separate and go kind of cakey for some reason as the day goes on. Initially it looks really nice, but as it wears it just doesn't look good. So I actually just use water because for me it's the lightest type of product to use, and I just go ahead, spray it down a little bit. I know that seems like a lot, but I don't do it super close to my face. I want to get a very light mist, and then again just fan it down, and that'll get rid of any super powdery look, but your foundation is set for the day. Alrighty my love, so I went ahead off of camera and I just finished up my makeup so that you guys could see what it looks like with a full face on. If you're interested, I did have the Sunlight Trio Blush Highlighter and Bronzer by City Color. This is collection 2. That is everything on my cheeks. For my lips, I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Liquid Lip in the shade Rio, which is a very bright, bold pink. I did a bit of eyeliner and mascara and then just did my brows, and that was it for what I did off of camera. But this is what the face looks like. It is full coverage in my opinion, and it's matte. It's gonna stay throughout the day. It doesn't make me look super dry or cakey, even though we did apply powders and things to get it to stay and last throughout the day. I love the way that it looks. I think that this is the best way to get a natural matte finish on dry skin that is long wearing. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, again, like I said earlier, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified of my videos, and thumbs this up if you're interested in seeing more Wear Test Wednesday videos from me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed again, and we'll stay tuned next week for the next Wear Test Wednesday, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you may be, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye everybody.